What is the impact of climate change on local wildlife? Altered habitats. Climate change significantly impacts local wildlife by altering their natural habitats. Rising temperatures, shifting weather patterns, and increased frequency of extreme weather events can lead to habitat loss or transformation. For instance, wetlands may dry up, forests may change in composition, and grasslands may become more arid, affecting species that rely on these environments for survival. Disrupted food chains. Climate change disrupts food chains by affecting the availability and distribution of food resources. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns can impact the growth of plants and the abundance of insects, which in turn affects herbivores and the predators that feed on them. This disruption can lead to imbalances in local ecosystems and threaten the survival of various species. Altered migration patterns. Many wildlife species rely on specific migration patterns for breeding, feeding, and survival. Climate change can alter these patterns by affecting the timing of seasonal events, such as the availability of food sources or suitable breeding grounds. For example, migratory birds may arrive at their breeding grounds before food is available, impacting their reproductive success and overall survival. Increased disease and parasites. Warmer temperatures and changing weather patterns can increase the prevalence of diseases and parasites affecting local wildlife. For example, higher temperatures can expand the range of tick-borne illnesses or foster the growth of harmful pathogens. Wildlife that are not adapted to these new conditions may suffer from increased disease prevalence, leading to declines in population numbers. Altered breeding seasons. Climate change can affect the breeding seasons of many wildlife species. Temperature changes and altered seasonal cues can lead to shifts in the timing of reproduction. For instance, some species may breed earlier or later than usual, which can impact the survival rates of offspring and disrupt the natural balance of populations. Habitat fragmentation. The impact of climate change often results in habitat fragmentation, where large, continuous habitats are broken into smaller, isolated patches. This fragmentation can limit the movement and migration of wildlife, reduce genetic diversity, and increase the risk of extinction. Species may struggle to find suitable habitats or mates, leading to population declines. Changes in species distribution. Climate change can cause shifts in species distribution as animals and plants move to new areas in search of suitable conditions. Some species may migrate to higher elevations or latitudes, while others may struggle to adapt or migrate quickly enough. These changes can lead to new interactions between species, potentially disrupting existing ecosystems and leading to the decline of native species. Increased human-wildlife conflict. As wildlife are forced to move to new areas or adapt to changing conditions, they may come into closer contact with human populations. This can increase the risk of human-wildlife conflicts, such as animals encroaching on agricultural land or urban areas. Such conflicts can lead to negative outcomes for both wildlife and humans, including property damage or harm to animals. Loss of biodiversity. Overall, climate change poses a significant threat to biodiversity by impacting various aspects of wildlife survival and reproduction. As species struggle to adapt to changing conditions, some may face extinction while others may thrive or expand their range. The loss of biodiversity can lead to less resilient ecosystems and reduced ecosystem services, affecting the health and stability of natural environments. Conservation efforts. Addressing the impacts of climate change on local wildlife requires targeted conservation efforts. Strategies may include habitat protection and restoration, monitoring species populations, and implementing climate adaptation measures. By actively working to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change, conservationists aim to support wildlife survival and maintain ecosystem health. The impact of climate change on local wildlife is profound, affecting habitats, food chains, migration patterns, disease prevalence, and breeding seasons. Habitat fragmentation, changes in species distribution, increased human-wildlife conflict, and loss of biodiversity are additional consequences. Effective conservation efforts are essential to mitigate these impacts and support the resilience of wildlife and ecosystems in the face of climate change.